for a, I guess, special live show. And just because I had a very amusing thing happen, if you happen to notice my last two shorts that I uploaded, we had the situation where I wanted to make a video where I was talking about, Donald Trump and his changing of mind or whatever, is one of the responders to my video said it's not really a change of mind, simply because of the fact that, you know, I don't think he really changed his mind because there's no evidence of him actually changing his mind. Hey Jackie, what's going on? Good to see you. So yeah, and I basically posed a question to all of the MAGA types. I'm live, so
Oh,
yeah. I actually posted a question to all of the MAGA conservative types out there, and something I posed to conservative radio show host down here on his evening show on Friday night. And so there's a short with this. So if you want to share the short, you can. Hey, Kelly. Just saw the ridiculous message that comes up. What's the ridiculous message that comes up? Hey, Kelly. The question that I posed to what?
she wants a protein thing.
Okay, like a drink or whatever, like combined. Yeah, I'll make that for it in a little bit. That's fine. Um, anyway, so what happened was I asked this question, and the question was um, there's two facts that this question relies on. Fact number one: Donald Trump said during his first term that TikTok was a threat to national security. If TikTok is a threat to security, he tried to get it banned then. However, last year after he won, he was basically saying that he wanted to save TikTok, wanted to save it because it helped him win the election. Hey Josh, what's going on? Um, but here's the thing: if you know those two facts, why would a reasonably minded person not come to the conclusion that Donald Trump is more than willing to put national security at risk if it helps him politically? Now, anybody who watches Liberal Dan Radio talk from the left, that's right, clearly would know that that's a true statement. We all know that Donald Trump is more than willing to put our national security at risk to help himself politically. We know that because we're all well informed people. But I want to ask the conservatives out there, specifically, why we should not believe that. Like, why would a reasonably minded person, now this, of course, assumes that they would understand what a reasonably minded person might think, and that's a stretch. But that being said, why would a reasonably minded person not think that? So, but it was so weird. Let's see, we're down because of a law, but Trump is working on it, basically. So dumb. Yeah, it's, I don't know. We might see TikTok back on Monday. Who knows? But uh, I don't know. Maybe Monday. Maybe he'll get Commerce Act. I don't know. Maybe he'll do an executive order. I don't know. Executive order to not enforce the law, and then he'll get to basically say that he'll pick and choose what law is going to follow. Hey, Jolie, good to see you. A little surprise, secret, super. I don't know if it's a secret show, but a surprise show. Um, so yeah, I would love to hear conservatives talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit on Monday during the non secret upcoming special show that we're going to do. Um, so yeah, it's just, and what was so funny was I was like, let me see, TikTok's supposed to go away tomorrow, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna post this question to TikTok. I uploaded it to TikTok and I also downloaded it to my phone. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna post this question, and maybe I'll get some responses there, and then maybe I'll be like, well, if you want to discuss this more, come over to my YouTube channel. Maybe as a last ditch effort to try and get some more, subscribers over here from over there. That was at 9:29. At 9:30, it got cut. Like literally right at 9:30, according to my one of my children. So, hey, King Spidey YT, i.e., my child, how are you today? Is this one of the first times that one of my children has joined my political podcast? That's funny. How you doing? So
We did do one in a car.
yeah, we did. Well, we did one in a car, but I don't think y'all were interacting with the live at the time. You just happened to be in your voices happened to be in the live or whatever. But uh, yeah. So my video was up on TikTok for a grand total of 1 minute or less. It might have even been seconds that it was up. I may very well have posted the last video to TikTok that ever got posted to TikTok. I know it's all the millions and millions of views. It's very well possible that other people also posted it just right then and there. I know people. I saw people in Tommy's chat, my dude's chat. They said that some people were live at the time and it just got cut at 9:30. So um so that's interesting. But I was actually intending on making a couple more videos on TikTok because one of the things I've liked to do is I use TikTok basically as a tool to create little short videos that I could then save to my phone and upload to YouTube. So if I have a video idea, I'm just killing two birds with one stone. Well, if I was on TikTok, I would have had to say unaliving two birds with one stone. But I guess we don't have to worry about that at the moment because YouTube doesn't seem to be as upset about I harmful words or words describe being a harmful thing is easy for me to say. Because on TikTok, over here on YouTube, we don't have to say things like unaliving and grape and other things, PDF files. If you know what I'm talking about. So there's literally no reason for us to have to do that silly censoring over here on YouTube. And it's one of the things that I did find ridiculous about TikTok. Now is TikTok a real threat to national security? I don't know. There were people in the intelligence committees in both the House and the Senate who saw the data and said, yes, absolutely, this needs to go away. There are people like Hal Sparks who will, say that it's basically used to, that it's malware, but I think the way that he describes it as malware, at least it is at least in part because of the way it manipulates the feeds to push information to you. So, hey, human F being good to see you. So the reason that, for example, some people might want to use it because they feel that they're going to be force-fed bad information, and I have a whole thought process about this that I might either do on Monday night show or make another video about this about going down rabbit holes. Let's see, human as being two more respond in its place like the Hydra. Yes. As soon as I saw the first part, two more respond in its place, I then was like, yeah, like the Hydra. And then I got to your next part of the message. But yeah, I have this whole, people falling down the rabbit hole idea where, falling down the rabbit hole isn't necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. Like there are many topics that people will fall down my dog just snored, going down the rabbit hole, and they'll like serial killer like shows or whatever, and people will just podcast what have you. People just dive down that rabbit hole, but it's not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself. I mean, it is if you go down that rabbit hole and then become a serial killer. But the other problem is that a lot of times these people will go down the rabbit hole, and then it's the rabbit hole of like oh, I just heard Donald Trump or Elon Musk or some other conservative creator say something that makes a little bit of sense to me, and then start listening more and more to those people, and then start trying to make themselves think that hey, maybe this person is making sense even though they're being manipulated, and then all of a sudden it causes people who otherwise would not vote a particular way to vote a particular way, or people who might not have joined like the MGTOW movements, the Manosphere movements, the Red Pill movements, or whatever. Literally taking the red pill, same thing as falling down the rabbit hole. And that those two, I mean, I never really thought about that those two could really be connected, but I never really needed to. But I was just thinking about today, and I was like, you know what? Maybe that's the case. I don't know. Maybe it is the case that that's why those two are interconnected. I don't know. Who knows? But I do have an idea that that might be an idea for a show that we talk about, where people going down the rabbit hole, how it can be harmful, how it can be not. See, Josh, I watched 6 hours of Steam Locomotives last time I went down a rabbit hole. Yeah, I mean, not harmful. I've gone down plenty of rabbit holes, but none of them have caused me to vote against my best interest. None of them have caused me to vote for bigots, racists, xenophobes, anti-Semites, etc. Or none of them have given me the excuse as to why I should vote for these horrible people for some reason. But, and Josh was like, I like the groovy curtains. I got them for my wife, but I mean, they're cool. It's funny that you mentioned the curtains, and then, it's one of the reasons a lot of the times I would make TikToks from this very chair. And I would have a lot of MAGA conservative types who would come into the videos and start being like, oh, are you posting from your mother's basement? Or stuff like, oh, nice curtains, trying to make me seem like I'm less of a man or somehow effeminate because I have, purpley type curtains. And I was like, you know what? Happy spouse, happy house. And of course, I'm like, if I'm posting from my mom's basement, why do I have curtains? Why do I have big curtains like that? Usually basements, as in my experience, have tiny little windows. So you could have those tiny little windows and you would have tiny little curtains, not big ass curtains covering a whole ass window. But that's why they're not that smart. And one of the reasons that it pisses me off that they're able to be so politically successful is the fact, is for a second, I just lost my train of thought because of even that being said. I don't think that for a second that Dan chose. I think I did. I think Cassie was like, I want curtains. Find me some pretty purple curtains or whatever. And I think I did pick these out, but they were picked out because it was what she requested, and she liked it because, as her husband, I know what she likes. I know what her tastes are, and as such, I can pick these out. Now, sometimes when she's looking at like a celebrity or something and like finds a celebrity crush, a couple of times with that, I might be like, what? I don't understand that because like there's me and then there's like Sam Heughan. I mean, I can understand why most women like Sam Heughan. I mean, he's a handsome fella. But, there are other people who be like, oh, he's hot. Oh, he's hot. I'm like, really? I didn't picture that. But then she surprises me other ways too. So who knows? Anyway, so let's see. You chose them for wifey poo. I can forgive that. Yes, I did. I chose them for her because that's what she wanted. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, I would get harassed on TikTok simply because of the fact that I had these curtains, and people would assume that I lived in my mother's basement. But that's because most conservatives practice the one thing, which is called projection. Projection. And actually, I was going through some of my old TikToks trying to find a different one because somebody had brought up some meme or whatever that mentioned Ben Shapiro early on in the pandemic, letting us all know that he doesn't know how to satisfy his wife because he believed that having a WAP was somehow meaning that something was wrong, and so that was very early on in my TikTok career or whatever. Not that it was a career; I never made any money off of it, but I basically took a whole bunch of dry noodles and put it in a pot, and then I was like, when Ben Shapiro here's the terms macaroni in a pot in the new Cardi B song, this is what he thinks about. And then I turned the camera around to the pot and was stirring a pot of dry noodles in the pot. And I posted that. I went and downloaded that video to my phone to save it because, I should save some of these videos. I should save some of these videos. Let's see. Let's see. I don't mind it. The Human of Beings comment was okay. Did Shapiro actually say once that his wife never gets wet? It was something similar. Like he was basically saying if you're that moist, so to speak. I don't know. Like you have a problem, or there's a problem there. I'm like, bruh, she's not. You have a problem, and that's why he got such grief. I mean, I could probably go try and find the video, but if I found the video, I mean, the video is the one where he's sitting there reading the lyrics of that song, and like in his Ben Shapiro type voice is like, macaroni in a pot. That's some wet ass p word, like, and like it was just embarrassing for him on so many levels. thoroughly solvable. What is a thoroughly solvable problem? The fact that uh, the fact that she does not seem to be, or he doesn't seem to arouse the wife. Let's see, was he the guy that was yelling at his pregnant wife about the dog? No, that was Steven Crowder. Is that guy? Steven Crowder is the one who was yelling at his wife for that, and the wife was pregnant, and apparently handling the medicine that the dogs needed to get as a pregnant person uh, is not safe and not good. But he still decided that he was gonna yell at his wife about this. And again, I guess I don't know if he realized or not that he was being recorded by his home security system, but that was then uploaded to the internet, and everybody got to see even more how much of a horrible person that Steven Crowder is. Of course, not to be confused with Trey Crowder, who is a left wing type creator, comedian, and political pontificator who is much smarter than his other namesake. Just like how I, Daniel Zimmerman, am much better than the other namesake, George. Although I got really tired for a while of people like, "Oh, of course your name's Zimmerman. What are you, racist too?" I'm like, "Yeah, totally. That's totally what it is." Um, I do have another video on here where I was talking about where we go over and we review the video where Steven Crowder is walking around and interviewing people about abortion and asking them questions about abortion. He's doing this whole change my mind thing or whatever. And one of the problems I have with Crowder and a lot of these conservatives when they do these types of videos is I don't believe in my heart for a second that um, that he doesn't that he I don't believe that he shows all of the interviews. I'm sure he picks and chooses the interviews, and if he finds an interview that or if interview if he's reading this again, if he interviews somebody who makes good points and makes some sense and actually rebuts his points, that he is not going to show that on his channel. He's only going to show the people he finds that either he can get to change his mind, assuming that they legitimately disagreed with him at the beginning. Because I also believe that he probably has plants there that he has them act as if they were, liberal left leaning, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, here comes, this stupid liberal. Oh, I've now changed their mind because I'm so superior. Ha ha ha. But one of the things that I had a problem with in one of his videos, with that video specifically, was he was using this graphic when it came to the gestational period and normally you would look at a chart of a gestational period and each section would each month would be the same width, so to make it look like, hey, this is the first trimester, this is the second trimester, this is the third trimester, and all of these trimesters have equal spacing on the graph. No, that's not what he did. He made it look like, the first like maybe 12, 16, 20 weeks made up like two-thirds of the width, if I'm remembering correctly. It could not be, it might not be exactly that. So people, conservatives or the fact checkers out there who might be like, well, it wasn't two-thirds, it was 59%. Whatever. It wasn't that. So yeah, so it was a very misleading graphic, and people who can't think on their, can't think like that, can't just, look at those pictures and graphics and be like, there's something wrong with this. They might very well be fooled because he's using a manipulative graph. Human being, I hate orcs. What did an orc ever do to you? But here's one of the things though that related to the last show, or related, and also related to one of the videos that I uploaded. I made it a clip where we are talking about like how fact checkers have failed us, and like I'm not leaving Facebook simply because of the fact that I actually didn't like the way that they fact checked. So I think eliminating their fact checkers was a better thing. One other example of this that I didn't think of during the show, but I thought of today, was simply the fact that we had the whole Trump Charlottesville thing. And the Trump Charlottesville thing, the media would report it slightly incorrectly. Like a lot of people in the media would say, look, Donald Trump called Nazis good people. And he did. He literally did not say those words. But again, fact checkers get overly pedantic and don't let you reach a conclusion based off of a set of known facts, which is what I did when I have reported this story, which is that Donald Trump said that some people on both sides are good people. Some people. But my argument there is that if you have one side that has Nazis marching on that side, and then the rest of the people who are not Nazis are marching along with those known Nazis, then those people can't be good people. You cannot literally be a good person if you're marching next to a known Nazi. It's very similar to the protests that were taking place about what was going on in Israel, and Israel, in their war with Hamas. That's supposed to be ceasefire tomorrow as well. We'll see. But however, there were people who were literally sitting there next to people shouting anti-Semitic things. So if you're sitting there shouting and with people who are shouting anti-Semitic things, it doesn't matter that you're not saying them yourselves. You're not removing yourself from that situation. You're sitting there and helping them do it by standing next to them in solidarity. And as such, you're not a good person either. So if you're in Charlottesville and you're conservative, crying about, the loss of participation trophies, and you're sitting there and these people, these Nazi folks are sitting there going, hey, Jews will not replace us or whatever, and saying blood and soil and all the other Nazi things they want to say. You're sitting there marching right there next to them. Guess what? You're not a good person because you're knowingly and willingly participating in an event alongside Nazis. And that's the point. But I do blame the media somewhat because when the media inarticulately makes a point that can be nitpicked by fact checkers, the people will jump all over it, and then they won't be able to make the same point again. Hey, Roxanne, good to see you. Like, for example, in Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal, he was running for office, and he was running for governor, and Jindal had made some point, I think at some point earlier in his college career. And it was a terrible point. It was basically saying that only Catholics can be trusted to know the Bible or something like that, or only the Catholic Church and the magisterium of the Catholic Church gives them the ability to properly interpret the words in the Bible. That's what he said. Or it's similar to what he said. But the way the Louisiana Democratic Party worded their ads I listened to the ad and I was like, y'all didn't get that right. And because they didn't get that right, that enabled Bobby Jindal to attack the Democratic Party in Louisiana and then be able to then make other claims that are untrue, and then they couldn't be questioned because the Louisiana Democratic Party had already put themselves in a situation where they've embarrassed themselves, they've lost credibility on this issue, so therefore Bobby Jindal could say anything he wanted to. And as a Catholic, he called himself a born-again Christian in North Louisiana, thus causing the people in North Louisiana who might not have voted for a Catholic person to say, oh, he's a born-again Christian? Well, there you go. I'm going to support him. But he wasn't. He's a Catholic. But by being irresponsible and not reporting things accurately, the Louisiana Democratic Party allowed Bobby Jindal to then be able to run with more lies that would then not be able to be questioned because the Louisiana Democratic Party already lost credibility. Boy who cried wolf. Same thing with the Trump thing. If you inartfully and inarticulately word the problem that is going on and enable your opponent to then say you're wrong and here's what I really said, the people lose credibility. Unfortunately, it never really happens on the right. Unfortunately, when left-wing people do it, the right will jump down their throats, and it will cause like the centrists to be like, "Oh, we can't trust them anymore." But when the right wing does it, they don't lose credibility, probably because they didn't have any credibility to begin with. So there's that. But again, it goes into the whole thing of the everything, like Democrats are always expected to act perfect. And if you don't act perfect, you're a horrible person. Republicans are expected to be terrible people. So when they are terrible people and do terrible things, they're like, oh, Republicans being Republicans, boys being boys, Trump being Trump, whatever you want to say, right? So that's what we're stuck with sometimes when it comes to politics and how unequally the electorate will treat you know the difference between the two sides, and oftentimes it's those centrist center right type folks maybe who will be like, oh well, the Democrats said something terrible or wrong or whatever, so I can't believe them at all, and then go running to the Republicans who are twice as bad or worse. Same as the difference between cancel culture and market solutions. Exactly. If 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 a conservative business is loses customers, they're like, oh, this is cancel culture, blah blah blah. But if a liberal one loses customers over something they say, well, maybe they shouldn't have put in politics in their things. Maybe they should have been all political and then they would have lost customers. No, this is just market forces driving. It's the invisible hand guiding the market. Once, because that's how supply and demand works. And if you give a service but you do something to alienate your customers, you're going to lose your customers. When a liberal does it, when a liberal business does it. But when a conservative business does it and liberals are like, we're not going to support them, well, guess what? It's cancel culture. These liberals are doing cancel culture and we don't like them, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah. Anyway. Just trying to see what time it was. But yeah, it's bizarre. But back to the whole beginning, just to kind of rephrase. Again, I have a short on this that just got uploaded to the channel right around when TikTok died. So it's funny that happened because it was right around I mean, literally, I posted this video on God. Yes, it's not God, it's God. Right, I literally posted the video right when TikTok went, but at least it saved to my device and I was able to upload it to YouTube. So I think literally I lasted 1 minute. But again, the whole point of that one video was I asked a very simple question for those who are new and who just got into the chat, which is, there's 2 facts that you have to know to answer the question. The first fact, again, is during Donald Trump's first term, he said TikTok is a threat to national security and it should be banned. And then after he won in November, Donald Trump said, we shouldn't ban TikTok and I don't want it to go away because it helped me win. So I'm asking conservatives, and I'll continue to ask conservatives. And one conservative already answered the video and dodged it. Is the question for those conservatives is, again, this. Why would a reasonably minded person not then come to the conclusion that Donald Trump is fully willing and able to put our national security at risk if he knows it will benefit him politically? And again, if you've been watching the show, you watch Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right, Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central, you will know that that's the case, that he obviously will put our national security at risk simply to help his political career. But the conservatives need to answer this, because the conservatives need to tell us why it's not reasonable for us to say that he's going to do this with those 2 specific things in mind. Now, the one conservative that I saw who responded to that video was basically saying, like, oh, he changed his mind, and then brought up Hunter Biden's, getting pardoned, which, of course, that's conservative 101. Ask a question, deflect to something else, because you can't deal with it. But I basically ignored the pivot and was like, look, he didn't change his mind. I have no evidence to believe that Donald Trump has changed his mind on fact 1. Fact 1, he said TikTok was a threat to national security. He didn't say in his statement for fact 2, I now no longer believe that TikTok is a threat to national security, and as such, I want to keep it alive because I like it because it helped me win. If that was the case, if that's what he wanted to say, then I can't ask the question, because then that would be proof of him changing his mind. But it's not. He did not say that. All he said was he now wants it to remain a thing. But he never said that his first statement was incorrect. But will he ever? Would he ever? As I've always said, no Republican or politician specifically is going to be successful and come out and say, I was wrong. Republicans will never say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I made an incorrect statement. Because that's them showing some sort of weakness or whatever. See, human opinion. Biden is letting him decide. That'll be interesting. Letting him decide what to do about TikTok, about the enforcement of it. Like, I mean, TikTok clearly was like, hey, we've hit some this is the point where we're going to cut the cord and you no longer can access your stuff. And maybe they did it to be shocking. Maybe they did it early just to be shocking and have everybody be like, we're even more pissed off because we were trying to use it and they cut it off early. Josh, I heard some AI company just been on TikTok, but what AI company? Who knows? So, but yeah, who knows? Who knows if they'll do that? But again, maybe Donald Trump issues an executive order on day one. We were going to not enforce this law for 90 days to give TikTok the ability to do whatever it is that they want to do. And I guess to TikTok's credit, what they said was that they don't want to get like the app stores in trouble or whatever, or any other, I guess, services that are used that are hosted in the United States. They don't want to get those in trouble. So they basically said, nope, you're not using our site while this law is being enforced. Then Donald Trump could say, well, I'm not enforcing it, which would then cause people to have to bring a lawsuit to force enforcement, but who has standing under the Supreme Court to make such a statement? Who has that standing to bring such a suit? I mean, you would not be able to go after Trump criminally for it, for violating the law, because because choosing to not enforce a law would be choosing whether or not to enforce a law, I guess, is an executive action. So that might very well, or how to enforce a law is an executive action. It's an executive decision. So if Donald Trump issues an executive order saying we are going to wait 90 days to enforce this law, then the Supreme Court would say he's immune. Because it's either, yes, it's an executive function, or it's in that cloud of areas where the president is assumed to have been, acting in a way that is immune from prosecution. Day one, he'll announce a concept of a plan to solve the problem in 2 weeks. I mean, he also said he had a plan to save healthcare or whatever, and to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. What's the plan to get rid of Affordable Care Act? What will replace it? Well, I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. And then, of course, John McCain comes in and saves the day with, I guess, Susan Collins and Murkowski. The three of them are the Republicans that basically, gave Trump the big old middle finger. And let's see. I'm only looking at top messages, so I should see all messages. Maybe I'm missing some comments. But again, lost my train of thought again because I was changing my comments from top comments to all comments. But anyway, that's basically it on that topic. Anyway, I was coming to the point. I had another point to make, but I pretty much have made the main point after it is. By failing to abolish the ACL. Yeah, we're talking about the middle finger. So yeah, Collins and Murkowski. A lot of people say that Collins and Murkowski should also get the credit for saving the Affordable Care Act. And they did vote against Trump's plan, but I think the thing is everybody knew that Murkowski and Collins were going to save it. We're going to vote to save it, but that wasn't going to be enough. They needed one more. John McCain comes off of his hospital bed, gets to the Senate, goes, no, flips off Trump proverbially, and walks away. And all of the Democrats are like, what the hell just happened? We did not expect that. Oh my God, that's amazing. So Hey Tiki Tony, my CapCut is dead. I have heard that too. That CapCut also went the way of the dodo and something else. Um, yeah. So unfortunately, other people have lost other, I guess, tools as well. I think I didn't know that CapCut was related to TikTok. Who knows? Um, he'll replace the ACA with Greenland. Yeah. Human being. What? WTF is in Greenland that he wants so bad anyway? I talked about this previously on the podcast, which is I really think that Donald Trump like thinks that, like looks at Greenland and looks at Iceland and says, "Well, Iceland must be made of ice, so it's all ice and we don't want it. But Greenland, it's all green because they call it Greenland. Why would they call it Greenland if it's not green?" So he probably thinks there's a whole swath of land that he could build a whole bunch of whatchamacallit, a whole bunch of his resorts on Greenland somewhere, and it'll be lush and green and everything, and it'll be a great way for him to make money. That's why he wants Greenland, because he thinks it'll A, it is green, and B, it'll cause him to earn green. But again, this is just my hypothetical solution of the whole thing, hypothetical reasoning behind the whole thing. I've never heard Donald Trump say those things, but I wouldn't be surprised if he literally believed that Greenland was a green land and just grassy, lots of flat, grassy areas, perfect for a golf course. Let's see. Eggs, maybe? Maybe, yeah. He's going to let MTG rule it. Yeah. I name Marjorie Taylor Greene Empress of Greenland. Congratulations, Large Marge. MTG, all 6B. I thought I heard that the CEO of TikTok is going to be on the stage, and I've heard that too, Penny. I have absolutely heard that as well. That right on stage with Donald Trump. Well, actually, they've now what they're doing the whole thing inside, because Donald Trump's a coward. But yeah, he's going to have the head of TikTok right there. But again, that's because he went from saying 4+ years ago, or over 4 years ago, I think. I don't know exactly what date he said it, or at what point in his presidency that he said TikTok is horrible, and then threatened national security to go away. Probably because again he ran against China and China being a threat. So he's just a child. He's Haruka Salt. He wants it all. He wants it now. He wanted Canland. He's the bad egg, and he wants the goose that lays the golden egg, and he wants a whole bunch of other birds to lay a bunch of eggs too, because that's the only way that we're going to get more eggs, and as such increase the supply of eggs, thus causing the demand, or to meet the demand, thus causing the price to drop, because there's a demand for eggs. It doesn't creating eggs doesn't help anything. It's that you need to create enough eggs to meet the demand so that the prices drop. Hey Kevin, how you doing? Good to see you. But yeah, you just got it in my head. I want it now. I want the world. I want the whole world. So doing Veruca Salt little song before she gets dumped into the egg hopper or whatever. But yeah, let's see. But he admires China's quick trials and executions. He gets yeah. That's again. Nobody just wants to look at the man behind the curtain. Trump can do all these things that are hypocritical. Bash China, want to be like Xi. Bash China, admires all the horrible stuff that China does. Bash China, but not want to interfere with China, trying to take over Taiwan. That sort of thing. Again, he can do it and not be critical. I guarantee you, if Donald Trump's sons were brought up on some charges and he pardoned them, nobody would complain like they're doing about Hunter Biden and him getting pardoned. Hunter Biden needed to get pardoned. When Joe Biden said that he wasn't going to do it previously, he probably thought that Trump was not going to win, and as such, he wouldn't need to pardon him, because guess what? There was not going to be, this president that was going to be politicizing his own child, Biden's child, to try and make a political point. Once Trump won, he had to then make the pardon because why would you put your child at risk when nobody else in the history of these laws has ever been punished that much that way and treated that terribly over, you know, lying on a form about drug use, but still like not whatever. The facts of the case, no one has been treated like Hunter Biden's been treated on this. See, someday Junior will get busted for throwing a coke party with Gates. Well, I'm sure. Wait, is there sad? What's the sad news, Kevin? Above is the sad news not related to? Is there additional sad news above and beyond what happened to TikTok? My Magic 8 Ball says so. That is, don't say Magic 8 Ball around Don Jr. He's going to get very excited and not know what you're talking about. Well, sure, they would absolutely applaud him for it because again, hypocrisy is a conservative prerequisite. In order for you to be a conservative, you have to be a hypocrite. Period. Snoop kissed the ring. Snoop now is Snoop performing at the Trump inauguration, or is he just like supporting Trump now for whatever? Magic 8 Ball could run for office as a Republican. The problem with that is that a Magic 8 Ball is likely more often correct than a Republican politician is. Right? So, I do remember on the roast of Donald Trump that Comedy Central had, Snoop was on it. I think Snoop is the one that made the joke that you want to run for president? That makes sense. It wouldn't be the first time you kicked a black person out of their house. So, yeah. Something with a crypto ball. Crystal ball or crypto ball? Yeah, I guess maybe that's what they should call the inauguration, the crypto ball, because, Doge and Trump NFTs or whatever, his little pictures of him being all muscular and lying. So, yeah, Jackie's Midas Kevin, it's all about the money. Of course it's all about the money. Gotta make them dollar bills, y'all. But even then, like again, if they were like, I think Liberal Dan should come out to my inauguration and cover it. Nope, I'm not going to come out. Nope, I there's no price that I can think of that Donald Trump would be willing to pay me that I would be like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, f you, Donald Trump. I mean, only if you want to pay me to come to you and then we'll have me cover it and tell the world of how much a shithead you are, how much of a dirtbag you are. Sure, I'll do that, but I'm not going to do things that support him. Not one bit. Now I would love to see Snoop like feign kissing the ring, getting up on stage, and then saying a whole bunch of shit and talking smack about Donald Trump. That would be epic. I don't expect that to happen, but yeah, Donald Trump said cryptos are a scam meant to weaken the U.S. dollar, and then he started one. Okay, are we surprised? Of course not. Why? Because hypocrisy is a conservative prerequisite. But yeah, that could be amazing. Just like Donald. Apparently, though, one thing that I did hear was that I think Kid Rock, for his portion of the inaugural concert, I think he wanted to have stripper poles on stage. And apparently, Donald Trump or the Trump campaign was like, nope, sorry, you can't have stripper poles on stage. And maybe this is like an example of Kid Rock being like, man, you can have sex with a porn star, but I can't have stripper poles on my stage. That's him finding out, I suppose. But yeah, shame on Snoop Dogg. Unless you're gonna do what I said that you should do, shame on you. Ring the bell like in Game of Thrones. Shame. Anyway, I think my wife wanted me to come get her something. I probably need to go take care of her for a second. So I wasn't even intending to go live for 45 minutes. I just wanted to go live and talk about all that. Let's see, wait, how did Donald Trump know the weather could be too cold a week in advance? Well, I mean, weathermen are often wrong, but weathermen are probably the only people that are more wrong than Republicans. So, but yeah, anyway, about 45 minutes in, so thank y'all for joining. Appreciate you for all of you that hopped in for my impromptu live about the death of the talk. And again, we will be live Monday morning to cover the non-inauguration. I'm still workshopping a word. I don't know exactly what I'm going to call it, but we're not watching the inauguration. We're going to talk about other stuff while the inauguration is going on, while keeping an eye on potential executive orders that could be coming down the pipe. So anyway, so we'll go live Monday morning, my time, the inauguration's at noon, so that's 11 o'clock my time. So we'll probably go live probably at least 15 minutes prior. I don't think that will preclude me from also doing another show Monday night. So we'll have a twofer on that day. And Impeccable Living joins right as I'm leaving. It's not you, Impeccable Living. I have to go take care of something for my wife. So, but thank you for joining. Remember, before the show ends, remember to smash that like button. Remember to share this video, the other video that I uploaded, the short that I uploaded right around 9:30. Share that to your friends as well, because I think it makes a good point. Get the algorithm going, because algorithm needs more rhythm. And tune in Monday at around 10:45-ish Central Time, 11:45-ish Eastern Time for more Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left. That's right.